Hey everyone, yes, first off, yes I have missed a lot of comebacks, but I am generally working on a lot more projects right now. Also one thing about me, if I have nothing to say you bet I will say nothing at all. This year in general has been very void of excitement. The last thing that got me excited was Get Up by the one and only Newjeans, and maybe Fruitcake by Sabrina Carpenter. But I haven't felt any motivation to review any releases, whether by K-pop or pop. Everyone is boring, you all suck, tomato tomato. But today, Tate Mcrae, that is not a real name by the way, just dropped her sophomore album, and I just had to get into it. Now, before we get into this, a little background with Tate and I. I first heard of Tate when she dropped You Broke Me First, and the song was cute, kinda, not really. Point is, I did not care for her fully, because why would I care for a Billie Eilish clone, especially if the Billie dupe had shit Billie rejects for music. Like if you're going to base your whole identity on whoever is popular, please do it with class, like at the very least, the music should be good. But she turned the wig around with What Would You Do, and I think that was definitely a pivot for Tate in general. We as an audience saw her ditch that Billie aesthetic that never genuinely felt like her but more a cheap imitation, and instead trade that for something sexier yet dark, but a little more showing of Tate as an artist. And yes, she was still forming her own identity, because during that era she was slowly becoming an Olivia Rodrigo dupe, especially because her debut album seemed so derivative of a sour except not as exciting. But to my surprise, I liked a few songs, enough to start to keep an eye out for her. My favorite tracks being Hate Myself, What Would You Do, Chaotic, She's All I Wanna Be, and What's Your Problem. But that album was incohesive, especially with the lyrical content, aesthetic, and imagery. It did feel like Tate was getting comfortable in her own skin, but the wardrobe looked very uncomfortable and terrible, aging her up more than she is, and not in a mature, confident way, but more like an unseasoned auntie, trying to rock business casual. The songs were either really boring or mediocre, and her artistic identity was becoming present but was still not representative of Tate Mcrae. But then everything changed when Think Later, Tate Mcrae's highly anticipated second studio album released on December 8, 2023 through RCA Records, shooting Tate up to a wider audience she had never seen before, with Greedy becoming her first and only Billboard Hot 100 top 10 as of today, peaking at number 7. Tate's previous highest charting song, You Broke Me First, peaked at number 17. And with this success has come a lot of negativity, with most praising Tate while others disregard or criticize her for it. And I can honestly see both sides, but in my opinion, I do think Tate is deserving of this success, believe it or not. The first single, Greedy, was released on September 15, 2023, following her long tease of the song on TikTok. With the first tease being on August 4, 2023, Greedy was an instant hit, peaking at number 1 on the Billboard Global 200 and Canadian Hot 100. It entered the Billboard Hot 100 at number 33 and peaked at number 7. Greedy surpassed 100 million streams on Spotify, making it her fastest song to reach this milestone. The song now has over 20 billion global views on TikTok, has spent 20 days atop the global Spotify chart, accumulated 45+ million views on YouTube, and 426,440,768 streams on Spotify, being her fastest song in only 76 days and third song overall. Tate announced Think Later on November 6, 2023, and on November 17, Exes, the second lead single, dropped. Exes peaked on the Billboard Hot 100 at number 34, this being her second highest debut after Greedy and making it as her first 2 singles from an era to chart in the Billboard Hot 100. Exes gained 1 million views in its first 24 hours on YouTube, making it her fastest music video to reach this milestone, and it currently has 39,190,825 million streams on Spotify. Tate Mcrae would go on to perform a Greedy and Grave, a brand new song, at Saturday Night Live, which really confused me, because that would have been the perfect time to promote Exes instead of a new song that is not really that good or unique, especially in comparison to Exes. Immediately after this I could tell RCA or Tate was trying to replicate the same formula SZA used to promote her incredibly successful second album SOS. This is evident with the music video dropping a few days before SNL. The video ending with a snippet of another slower, more ballady song from the album, then a performance on SNL where they perform their hit song, and then surprise perform the full song they teased at the end of their music video. I don't know whose idea it was, but why I'm leaning more to Tate is because this is something she also did in her debut album, and since SZA and Tate are both signed under RCA, I wouldn't be surprised if RCA is trying to replicate the success of SZA for Tate Mcrae. And I don't think it's much of a reach considering articles and posts claiming this, which I think worked for SZA because Blind was already viral from the teaser SZA gave. Not to mention SZA had a stunning visual and the teaser was long, while Tate's visual and song wasn't that interesting or long to grab people's interest. If it was up to me, in a perfect world, I would have had Tate do something more interesting in the teaser and something more cultivating. Had the teaser be a minute long, and instead of Grave I would have had her tease Run for the Hills since it's her next single and have that be the promotion. Then perform Greedy and Exes on SNL instead, or have her tease Hurt My Feelings since it's a much catchier song than Grave. But if she really wanted to tease a sadder song, then my best choice would be Calgary, because then yes, we do get the vulnerable side of Tate, but we get a song that's way more interesting lyrically, production-wise and sonically. But anyway, her promotion the sucks, as does most of RCA. But now, let's get into my review of Think Later by Tate Mcrae. Cut My Hair, the first track on the album, is already a very weak way to begin the album. Tate feels lost in the production with the instrumental feeling weird with her voice, like it was formed from the beat first then her vocals last. I just don't think it's properly produced, the audio mixing just feels so out of place. The auto-tune is also very sharp and takes away from the enjoyment of the song. The production feels better suited for a different artist who can fully bring it to life instead of blending right in. Tate talked about how she wanted this song to signalize a shift in her musicality this era, and while that is somewhat the true definition for the album, she is still very much sad and I honestly prefer it. I think Tate's ballads are what kept me interested in her for a long time because her upbeat tracks were doo-doo. I feel like this song is such a liar of a track, making you believe you are going to be hearing less sad songs, but that's not quite the case. The song does set the scene for the rest of the album, which is very dark in composition and tackles feelings of resentment, anger, sadness and maturity. Greedy really changed things for Tate. I remember when she went live with Olivia before Guts got released, and I remember feeling so bad she hadn't yet gotten her moment. Like Tate, I've always known you had it in you. And I feel why her old music didn't stick with others is because it just honestly was not unique to Tate, but I was so gagged when she shared that first snippet. I remember just replaying that for the rest of the days until it officially got released. Like yes Tate, I never said anything bad about you. I really love Greedy, like this is how you make good early 2000s dance music. I also think the short length helps it a lot, because you know that replay value was valuing. I do still think the ending is too abrupt, but Greedy remains one of, if not, the best track on the album. The crisp production, sample and Tate's flirty but confident tone singing the song makes it such an incredible song to lose yourself in. It immediately gets attached to your brain, making you want to move, dance or sing. I also did love the music video a lot. Her saying this was her first time doing real choreo was funny, because then what the hell would you call what you were doing in Feel Like Shit, and what would you do? I love the lyrical content too, like you guys don't get it, you don't, she made this for me. I've been saying, well, not out loud, but thinking that Tate would eat so bad if she started snipping on the early 2000s dance tunes, and look how I was right. The song ends up being a self-confidence and self-worth anthem despite its obvious sensual and playful production. Overall, Greedy serves as a reminder to value yourself in any relationship. Be cautious and question people's hidden motives because it's not worth the problems you will get after. I think it also helps remind a lot of us that physical attraction is not equal to a genuine connection. I also love that for this music video she embraced her Canadian heritage by showing her love for hockey and all that. If anything, I think this was one of the things that really helped her stand out and this era in general. The video was okay honestly, the dancing was everything like you're taking it. What else can I say? But Exes is a better music video yet.
Hotels, late nights, hands through my hair. Long talks, red eyes, clothes everywhere. Missing them all. I know that when it's all done, I'll hate you bad in the long run, but somehow it never ends. My heels on the edge of your bed again. No, it'll never be more than just something that's fucking me up. Don't tease me, keep me used.
Run for the Hills is the song she has been teasing as of now, which is definitely a single. I generally was not looking forward to it because it seemed sad in production and somewhat lyrically. I wanted something more pop dance, but that would be redundant if she only did dance songs. I love the production the most. It feels very dark and hard-hitting. For some reason it reminds me of The Weeknd. But the teasers definitely don't do it justice. It's definitely a better song than I expected, especially the chorus and verses, and I do like the loop of lyrics in the end helping make the song even more haunting. I'm very excited to see how she takes this visually. Okay, maybe not excited, but intrigued for sure.
I should've known better. You should've known better than me. Not staying up, talking, speaking. Got my real deep in what you so bad, baby, hurt my feelings. Ooh, but I know one thing, she can't stop it happening in my mind. Got me held deep, baby, hurt my feelings. It was your number, but I got what you like.
Hurt My Feelings is the song I was looking forward to the most based on the teasers and how much it reminds me of A Fantasize by Ariana Grande, in terms of lyrics I mean. There's something very mid-2000s Lady Gaga about this song. The first thing that came to my mind being Just Dance by Lady Gaga, which I definitely enjoyed, like Yes Please, dip in this soundscape more. The song's highlight is definitely the chorus and bridge because the verses aren't that interesting or memorable, especially when she sings like she constantly has a sinus infection, and constantly has mucus in her nose, like please blow it out and reapproach the MIC.
Yeah, I know we should break up, but I just can't stay done with you. I hate it that I'm trying to call you up when you're the thing that I'm running from. The one-way street act. We're best friends and enemies. We're gonna tell you that to me, yeah. I told you goodbye. I just can't stay done with you.
I feel like if Tate could actually sing and project her words better, she would be unstoppable. So with Stay Done, when I heard the guitar I let out a deep sigh. Look, with Tate it's a hit or a miss and I rarely find myself in the middle ground and she just never does well with chill guitar music, like ever. She is a piano girl and for me it always comes off boring when she tries to. But it wasn't as bad, well yes. First thing that came to my mind sonically was Nobody Gets Me by SZA. It's reminiscent of that Taylor Swift pop sad song vibe, just without the clever lyricism of Miss Swift. The only two things that really irritate me is her voice. Why do you sound like that? And the lyrics can sometimes just be almost too generic, making them seem too childish. The first verse has interesting lyrics, she gagged me there, but the chorus, which is always the most important part of a ballad, is just plain bad. Yes, it has its highs and lows, sort of like the whole song. The lyrics are good and then bad, then good then not, and it makes for a frustrating listen. If you're a country, pop ballad leaning girly, you might enjoy this, but for me and my girls, it feels very, trying to be something it's not. The lyrics are honestly the biggest red flag most of the time. Her voice is especially grating on this track and it's so noticeable because of the production, well, lack of production. The minimal production and use of a guitar almost go against her sometimes, I feel this would work better if her voice was less raspy and nasally.
I could never make you want me like I wanted to be wanted. Say you be going out with all your boys. I'm crazy if I called you right. Tables turn, now I'm out and you just call like 30 times. I could never make you want me like I wanted to be wanted. You had me for a minute, the sad thing. You never would admit that you had me. I could never really change you like I thought that I could.
Grave was the song Tate Mcrae had constantly hinted at being so sad, and we hear her alliterate this in the song as well, but it's not really that sad. Yes, it's a sad song, but it's not as sad as she thinks it is. It's very bare minimum sad. Tate, you have a lot more sad songs in your discography, please be so serious. The first time I heard this song in SNL, I thought it felt very unfinished. I kept expecting a second chorus explosion, but that just never came. It also felt like she was chasing the beat in the chorus, but I've gotten used to that. Listening now, I have such a deep appreciation for her wordplay. I love how she uses grave as a metaphor for the emotional damage that affects someone in a relationship with another person who doesn't care for their well-being. In the lyrics, Tate looks back on the amount of times she failed to revive a connection with a partner who was unwilling to reciprocate her feelings. I really like the lyrics, I hold my grudges like I held you, showing how she held on to resentment to this person as a result of constantly being disappointed by this person constantly. I also like, you can only dig the grave so deep, something she repeats in the chorus, which emphasizes that there is a limit to what you can do for a relationship before it becomes irremediable and begins to destroy you too. I am very impressed by the production on this track. I was hoping Tate wouldn't lose her flair for gut-punching ballads. The song's overall messages showcases the difficulty if trying to hold on to a relationship that has already gone, and I love the message. Grave is a sad but honest reminder to move on from toxic situations, even though it means having to let go of unresolved feelings. Safe to say I really love this song. Yes, it's not her most unique or one of her most sad ballads, but it's just so beautiful with how simple it kind of is.
Kisses to my exes, I know that I did you dirty, little messed up, little selfish.
With Exes, I am so glad she chose this as a second single, especially with the huge success of Greedy, but I hate how she barely promoted it. You might be saying, why are you glad she chose this when you're not the biggest fan? Well, now that I've sat on this song for more than a few days, I have grown to really like to it, but that's because she is a grow and not a shower. The song though bland serves as a nice appetizer to the rest of the album, making you want more from her because of how lacking it can be. And for that it was a good choice for a second single. I do remember hearing it for the first time and not really liking it as much, not because it was bad but because it just felt boring to me. Like why it take me a while to get the groove, fault on her part not me, but when the beat kicked into my mind. Like when I got it. Oh, I got it bad. Okay, not bad, but I got what the girls were saying. Much like Greedy, Exes uses a similar structure, one that is playful, confident and very easy to get moving to. But even though I get it now, it still remains kinda boring. The melody sticks to the same pitches, just simply switching them around often. But this doesn't enhance the track, but rather makes it so forgettable and boring to listen to. A thing I also noticed is that the whole song doesn't have much dynamic, with a 1/4 chord progression being constantly recycled, which just again adds to the boredom. I think the biggest issue was the song just felt empty in general. The constant reputation of kisses to my exes ends up dropping the replay value of the song. Exes has nothing to say and gets annoying real quick, but everyone called it dance hit and I'm like, oh no. And yes, it gets fun, but it's also so forgettable. This was my first time playing it since the release day, but amazing visual. Anyway, slight tangent, yes, a lot of people are right to be upset with the sudden success of Tate Mcrae because of course. Tate is a white girl who yes can dance but can't really sing if we are being honest, but she will go far with that, while people like Normani, Tina She, Chloe and Victoria Monet have been doing the same exact thing but better for years and have not gotten viral moments like this. If any of them sounded like Tate, they would never see the success she has. And you can't sit here and tell me it has nothing to do with race, because it does. And this is not to take from Tate's accomplishments, because she deserves all of this, but let's not be naive.
I got a lack of good judgment, judging by the fact I got close to you. Said she was a girl's girl, that's a lie. Said she had my back. No, I'm not saying I'm petty, but that's not saying that you're so innocent. She calls herself a girl's girl, that's a lie. Said she had my back. And you wonder why, we're not alike.
We're Not Like is an indie, rock, pop song talking of being betrayed by a female friend. The lyrics are the standout in this song, and the rock influences help portray this anger and betrayal effortlessly. I'm definitely not a fan of rock Tate that much, and this song doesn't particularly offend me, but it doesn't interest me either. The production is something I haven't really heard from Tate, and so good on her for trying this blend of genre, but the lyrics do end up taking the cake because I'm nosy and want to know who this is about.
Same bar, same street, I'm 20 but I still feel like 15. But I got problems hanging like a chain around my neck. Trying but I'm barely seeing past 23. No, I got better at pretending. Maybe one day I'll finally get my shit together. Get out the bills are looking and I'll do it again. I'm a creature of habit. Though mama's gone, but I'm still same bar, same street. I'm 20, but I still feel like 15.
Calgary immediately becomes my favorite Tate ballad, her lyrics being so direct but painful to hear sang, and her voice in the chorus feeling so heavenly but tear-inducing. Tate sings over a guitar, "I'm 20 but I still feel like 15, already signifying the somber content of this track. Tate goes on to reflect on her current life, realizing that she still possesses the same fears she did as a kid. Also, tell me why this is how I found out Tate had an older brother. I got problems hanging like a chain round my neck, trying but I'm barely seeing past 23". The depressive lyrics help add so much depth to an album I thought would only be glittered with dance tunes. The ad-libs and harmonies in the chorus elevate the song so much as Tate lays out her vices, and I respect her so much for being brave and honest about this. Calgary sees Tate honest and vulnerable in a way we simply have never seen. She talks of her fears, struggles and problems with herself and her environment, which is a huge contrast to the heartbreak ballads that riddled, "When I was young I used to think I could fly." The pain of growing up can be heard in how she sings, "Can't lie the pills are looking tempting." If I'm being honest, this is the first time in a song that it feels like Tate completely. This is by far my favorite song on the album. The lyrics, production, and vocals all help make the song special and beautiful. I genuinely really love this song, and I hope Tate is better with this.
We both know this happens every time, every time. You don't, it's fun to say that. Couldn't care less for 1 second. Now you're all possessive. Yours, I'm so in love. A punch to the gut.
Messiah is a slow emo song building up to a chorus with alternative rock influences, which symbolizes how Tate and her partner can go from one point to a highly intense point. Tate talks about a toxic relationship, but this time also taking the blame for how she too had a hand in how sour the relationship got. It's generally a very toxic song, not going to lie, with Tate's partner being abusive in many ways and Tate wanting to get revenge and make them hurt. Both of y'all are toxic, and I'm glad that she is out of this relationship, because the hell? You'll need to cut the cycle of toxicity, day it with me. It's also the only song I really wanted to end, only to find out it's one of the longest, and while I appreciate the honesty and melody, it's not one that really stands out to me.
Met you in the night out in Boston. Put your hand on my thigh in the comments. Been trying to do it so well. Dance with ya, hand in my back pocket. I picture ya, facing my neck like it just far. Little mouth think letter, I do it so well. Little mouth think letter, I do it so
just okay. Think Later is a dark pop upbeat song with fun chanting in the chorus. I can't really understand what she says in the chorus without looking it up, though I do like the maturity lyrically, and I love the dark elements of this song and the hard bass drops in the beginning, along with the spooky aspect in production in certain sections of the song. I love songs where Tate flaunts her confidence and flirtatious aura. It suits her voice texture better too. This is such a theme for Taylo, dark feminine energy type of song, and I love it so much. Ryan Tedder really eats up the production in this album, other than Stay Done.
'Cause I live with a guilty conscience. I'll be wanting you back till the cops start calling. Where you sleep in a mess you started. Lot of good dick shit, second guessing. Lot of I was gonna tell you but didn't wanna hurt you, babe. No, I'm a moral shot, even that don't faze me. Loving you batshit crazy. Conscience, live with a guilty conscience.
Guilty Conscience is very up and down for me. Aspects of the chorus I like and other aspects I don't. I do not like the verses at all, something about how dated they sound. It can be fun at times, then downright feels like it can never end sooner. There's nothing interesting or memorable other than the repetition of the words, guilty conscience.
I was blindsided, couldn't see it coming, too young to be treated like that. I gave you everything that I couldn't afford to lose. Now I pull myself to do. Now the second I find something good, I know that you're gonna want that. Never wanna be anything like you.
Want That Too is a ballad that reminds me so much of Chaotic. I really love the ballads on this album, well, the good ones. Take My Innocence for Weaknesses is a line that echoed in my mind throughout the song. The lyrics, one again, simple but powerful. I love the chorus a lot. It's easily my favorite build-up she's done. The lyrics being a haunting reminder that whatever she does she can't escape the thought that her ex can easily destroy anything good in her life. Tate has really given me such beautiful ballads this era. For once, I love to win. This is definitely one of my favorites. The only thing that took it out for me was the second verse. I don't like rap Tate either. Stop it. You are a singer, please stick to the status quote.
Running your Wrangler in a deadbeat town in the parking lot. We would talk about all the drama. Just something in my head said, I'm sorry, you were just looking at plastic. Thought that it was real, thought that it was worth it. Out the window everything was looking perfect. Palm trees, plastic palm, staring at plastic palm trees.
Plastic Palm Trees is a soft closer to the album, not lyrically but rather in production. Because while the production is softer, the lyrics are hard and very sad. Rather than end with a high, Plastic Palm Trees leaves us where Tate was at the end of the relationship, confused and hurt. Realizing that she has not been happy throughout, Tate uses plastic palm trees as a metaphor for how she has been displaying fake emotions to make someone else feel better. I fully expected this record to be more somber because the direction took a darker, more sad turn after Exes. I love this song, like love, and at first it seems quite meh, but it's the saddest but most realistic way to close Think Later. I really love the metaphor of the trees to her emotions. It's a beautiful, almost lullaby-like song reflecting on a past relationship, and even after she has gotten everything she wanted, is she happy? Or is she not okay? This album showed such growth in Tate, artistically and image-wise. Vocally there was no significant growth or growth at all, but that's Tate. When I came into this album I was expecting to get a lot of greedy-like songs, and if anything I feel like it was more sad, angsty songs. And I am not mad at that, I just wished she warned a bit damn. I love that with this album there was a theme lyrically. Tate was probably in a very toxic relationship and it was hard for her to move on while also being in the public eye. This album, just like some of its sonics, is a roller coaster. taking you through the highs of being out of a toxic relationship and choosing yourself to the lows of missing someone you gave your all to, but we're left with pain and a continuous sadness. Think Later shows how mature Tate has gotten lyrically, with her more sad songs being an honest self-reflection and not just a pointing game. From the heavy-hitting dance tracks to the dark and gritty, maybe sometimes empty ballads, Tate Mcrae secures herself a spot in mainstream pop. This album offers so much raw, unfiltered truth while also giving you a few dance songs to get ready to. My only complaint being Tate's lack of enunciating her words, sometimes a lack of substance, and a few songs getting boring quickly. All in all, I'm so excited for this era and to see Tate fully step into mainstream pop. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. XOXO Phantom.